Hello and welcome to ScreenHour with me, Kieran.
Me, Mikey.
And in this episode, we're going to talk about a new TV show. I say new; it's what, I don't know, 3 weeks old or something now. But
Yeah, they dropped them all
it's,
on the 30th, didn't they? 30th of October.
yeah, but it's new to us. And it's readily available for pretty much anyone, providing you got a TV license. Wink, wink. But it's on BBC iPlayer, and it's called SAS Rogue Heroes, and it basically follows the creation of the SAS, how the SAS came to be during World War Two, and it's I really enjoyed it. To be fair, its art style is a bit like, it's got that sort of, reminds me of Guy Ritchie a little bit in the way that its art style is brought across with the sort of quick cuts and
When it
things.
plastered people's names on, and it's like, boom.
Yeah.
And the way it'll introduce people as well.
Yeah, but then its music choices, it's not like a complete sort of 1940s music, sort of jazz ensemble or whatever. Sometimes you've got songs that come out, a couple of days ago. I mean, one of my favourite intros is they've got the actually, I don't know what the name of the actual song is called.
Time to play, Motorhead, time to play the game.
It's time to play the game. Yeah, time to play the game, which is Triple H from WWE's Walk-In soundtrack, right? So I know that's just, I thought that was sick. I was like, time to play the game. And it fit, the thing is, it fit the episode perfectly, like the action perfectly. It didn't feel out of place.
It's one of its like big positives for me, using AC/DC, using like, I'm pretty sure like Rock, the Caspers in one of the episodes, or at least the Clash. And it refers, actually looked up, there I say, a bit more about the show after watching it all today on IMDb and stuff. And somebody like interviewed Stephen Knight, who's like the showrunner of this and also Peaky Blinders, and says, the choice of having classic rock music in it and modern day, more modern music, why did you choose that type of thing? And like he said, essentially, it was, it fits the theme and it fits the action, but also the SAS didn't play by the rules, and he didn't want to reflect. He wanted to reflect that in the soundtrack choice as well.
Oh, I like that. I like
And he
that.
says just like taking them, a bit off guard per se, because there is a lot of classic,
Oh yeah, there's definitely the proper, of the time music, definitely.
the classic rock AC/DC really fits into it. Like I'm pretty sure. Well, I do know for a fact Thunderstruck's in it, which is an absolute classic rock song.
Yeah.
And that's a really good song for building atmosphere.
Yeah. I mean, the actors we've got in it, we've got Jack O'Connell. Jack O'Connell, I first came across him in Angelina Jolie's Unbroken, where he plays a prisoner of war, Louis Zamperini. And I think that film is like in my top 10 of all time films.
Yeah, it's a good film, full stop, that is.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant film, and he does like a great job. And I've gone on to see him in Godless, which is a limited series on Netflix, like cowboys, in a town run by women because all the men died in a mine, and he's like an outlaw, but he doesn't want to be an outlaw anymore. It's really interesting. He's also in a film called Money Monster, which is George Clooney and Julia Roberts' film, which is, I actually really enjoy that film as well. It's better than the film I went to see at the cinema the other week called what was it called?
Unreal.
No, the one with George Clooney and I enjoyed that one. No, the one with George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
Oh, it's not Paradise Lost, is it? Or like,
Oh yeah, that's it. Paradise. No, Vacation in Paradise. Paradise. Wedding in Paradise. Or something. Oh shit, I can't remember now. But yeah, because you were like, "Ooh, what do you go see that for?" But I was like, "Oh, it's a fun film. It's a good, enjoyable sort of film. Not a great film, but an enjoyable film." But Money Monster's a lot better. It's about Jack O'Connell wants to blow up like a TV set, and then George Clooney tries to figure out why, and then George Clooney goes onto his side, and they um overturn like the corrupt people. Yeah, I don't want to say too much because I don't know if I've said too much there anyway. But anyway, Jack O'Connell, I've seen him in a few things and he's always been brilliant. So I knew this would be something that was interesting. Plus, you've got Alfie Allen, which we all know him from. Well, we all know his dad, we all know his sister, and we know him from Game of Thrones.
And the bad guy in John Wick. But the biggest thing you missed out on Jack O'Connell is absolute like starring like lift off role. Well, Skins, man, he absolutely smashes it in Skins.
I've never seen Skins.
Skins is like, nah, you can't believe how much Skins. To be fair, you probably missed about a bit now because it really resonates you when you're a teenager. But like, yeah, Skins is good. He's great in that. But now I think, funny enough, I'm not like this is a Jack O'Connell episode, but I don't watch Jungle Land, the film about bare knuckle boxing, which is in, like, which looks good. Yeah, but as you say, to Jack O'Connell's credit, everything I've seen him in has been absolutely great. The only criticism I will say is he always plays, and SAS Rogue Heroes included, the mad bastard with a vulnerable side.
Yeah, but that's always the more fun character to play, though, isn't it? Like, if someone's going to give me a script, that's the character I'd want to play. I want to be the quirky mad fucker, you know.
Plays the unhinged shod who, like, every now and again is, like, vulnerable or whatever. As you say, Alfie Allen absolutely smashes it as well. I almost feel like I'll get more into it in spoilers.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
Plays such a good role, and it's like, I don't know, he's a main pillar of the show.
Yeah, he's one of the, you know, the main reasons the SAS came to fruition.
And then the chap who plays David Sterling, I think it's Connor Swindles.
Connor Swindles, who's like, he's technically the main character. But he's also the most unrecognizable.
As actors go, yeah, as like the big actors. In fact, I've looked at his IMDb and he's got like, before this, and I always find this interesting, is like, not like I've truly gave up on my dream as being an actor, but, you know, I haven't acted anything for anything well. But you find it interesting that he's such a great actor. And apart from Sex Education, he's been in a few Channel 4 drama comedy things. Emma, and then some things like that. He's probably been in like 6 things, and now he's like headlining BBC's drama on like.
In all fairness to him, he does a great job.
He does a really great job.
In Sex Education, like, I thought like his character was good, but he was, you know, he's a supporting actor. He's not part of the main. He's technically he's part of an ensemble cast, but he's not, you know, the main 4, or whatever you want to look at it. So he's kind of just pushed the sidelines. I remember he had that one main episode in Sex Education where he's in the shit, was it? It's like army school, but that's not the way you say it.
Oh yeah, like, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't. The actual phrase.
It's like military school.
Yeah, but that's like one of his main episodes, I remember. But seeing him in this, like, his character is a completely different person. So I was like, oh shit, this guy can act. He's not just like playing himself. He's playing a character. So I was just really, you know, I want, you know, pat on the back for him, a big round of applause to him, because, you know, he really made me go, oh shit, this guy can act. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the character he brought to the screen, to be fair, and he does a really good job of, you know, being the main lead, being the main character.
He does carry it well on his shoulders, and like, very big props to him. And I feel like with this, he's gonna go like really big. Like, he's gonna be in a lot of stuff, I feel. And I tell you, who's another good character in it is Evie's. I think she's called Eve. Sophia Brittella.
Yeah, she's literally the only female in it.
She's the only. I think she literally is the only female in it. And for what it's worth, you know, I've done a bit of research, not extensive, dare I say it, but after it, and I was looking into like how true it was. So the 3 main like characters we just mentioned, David Sterling, Paddy Mayne, and Jock Lewis, they were all like legit people.
Yeah.
Like, and most of it, like it says in every episode, most of it is true. Like, Eve's character isn't true. She wasn't a person, but like Stephen Knight has said, and the writers, and it brings up a fair point to their credit, is a lot of like the female spies were invaluable in the war. They were really so crucial, and there was bound to be people like that character of Eve.
Oh yeah, but they didn't get the credit because of you couldn't give a woman a credit for something like that back in those days.
I think like a lot of good biopic things and like historical things that she's probably just amalgamation of different people, which is fair enough. Like
Yeah, a bit like Viola Davis's character in The Woman King. She doesn't actually exist, but she is a culmination of other figureheads into one main character.
Yeah, precisely. I couldn't agree more. But another interesting thing about it is it's apparently the BBC's most expensive show.
Really?
Ever. Apparently, according to credit where's credit's due, and whether it's wrong is IMDb, which is usually pretty reliable to be fair.
Yeah.
Which is like you say, it did make me think really, but I was trying to think.
I mean, the costume and the set design was brilliant. The CGI, I mean, it's BBC. Their CGI has never been amazing, has it?
Well, I think it's as good as you can get, like as you say, because it's not Game of Thrones where they spend 10 million per episode. But I think the most expensive thing they've probably done is just making it look legit, like you say, and obviously explosions because there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But making it look legit, whether it be the jeeps, whether it be the ammo, whether it be the costumes.
Even the makeup when they've got all the sand sores and ulcers and stuff, that looked horrible. Like you could even see their faces getting more and more weathered and sunburnt, and just each episode they look progressively worse. And to keep that continuity going is difficult in itself on one person, but to do the entire cast, they really pull out all the stops for that, and it's something rare to see when you're watching it and go, oh, that's good, because that's not something I should be looking at. You know what I mean? But it's something that sort of, I don't want to say it spoke to me, but it was something I noticed going, yeah, that's not something I should notice, but I noticed it because it's been done.
It's because it's done so well, yeah. And they've put the real effort in.
Yeah.
What I like about it a lot is it feels inherently very British, which is good. And like Stephen Knight has a very good way of doing that. Like he has with Peaky Blinders, and it's I don't know. He's very good at world building and making characters likable but also a bit fucked up. That I think that's probably evidently that's what you want in every drama. That's what you want in Sopranos. That's what you want in bloody Breaking Bad. A bit likable, but like they're a bit fucked up. Like
yeah, you shouldn't root for them, but you're going to because of some moral high grounds they do take.
Yeah, a good anti-hero, but also not too much of the anti. I like Kieran said, obviously spoilers, it's SAS, Rogue Heroes, it's about their establishment. But what I like about it a lot is, and it's mostly based on history, and it's apparently it's done rather well by a lot of counts, but is how it's not A to B road, and obviously that would make really boring television if all of a sudden they were very successful. But the first and second episode in particular, and to be fair, each episode does get better, but the first and second episode in particular are good ways at thinking, are they, if you hadn't heard of the SAS, and ironically I know it's secret Air Force type of thing, but everyone's heard of it, especially in this day and age. But you'd be watching it and thinking, did they ever get, like, pun intended, their feet off the ground? Because they start off with a rocky start, like.
Did you say Secret Air Force?
Yeah.
Special Air Service?
It's Special Air Service, but like they were meant to be like secret, weren't they? For like a good time. Yeah. But
yeah, so originally they were meant to be, paratrooping behind enemy lines, and they were meant to be ghosts, phantoms. Is how the SAS was originally basically the SAS existed, who was created by is it Duncan Clark? Is that his name?
No, it's David Sterling.
No, Duncan Clark, who created the SAS, right? Is played by Dominic West's character.
Dudley Clark.
Huh?
It's Dudley, isn't it?
Oh, it's Dudley Clark, yeah. And basically, he creates the SAS as like a rogue phantom operation, organization.
It's like smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, basically to sort of get the Germans trying to find them when they don't even exist.
To shit themselves lot.
But then Sterling is yearning to create his own regiment, and basically to, live up to his dad's name. That he then creates this rogue heroes of people, this rogue bandit of heroes, and they then get given the title of the SAS, and that is the bare bones of how the SAS came to be. And then they become more of a regiment thing as the episodes go on. But yeah, can't say too much on that. I mean, you kind of know where it's going because you've heard of the SAS and you know as much as you know in the real world of the SAS. So not too much is a spoiler, but yeah.
Yeah, but as Kieran says, it's a win-win. We go more in spoilers, but like the way that it's formed it's a win-win situation for the higher ups, for Sterling to give it a go per se.
Yeah, because the point was if they gave them permission to do the first mission, and they said even if they die on the first mission, right, we've then got bodies to prove the division exists, right? So they'll still keep hunting for the SAS even though they're technically ghosts, right? Or if they succeed, then shit, we're succeeding and winning the war.
And it's more proof, like more fuel to fan the flames of the fire for like Dudley Clark's.
And and it's not plain sailing at all.
No, that's all. Just a general overview before we get into like just dissect more of the entire series of spoilers. I don't like watch loads of BBC stuff, and that isn't like to slag it off at all. But I just think I have a lot of other things I want to watch, whether it be films or whether whatever. And it's really like I don't know, grab me to remind me how good the BBC are.
Yeah, how good they can be. Because I mean, they started off with the shows that I can remember watching on the BBC that I thought were really good was Ripper Street, but then that got brought out by Amazon. The Hitman, no shit, what's it called? The Bodyguard, with Richard Madden, but then that got brought by Netflix, I think. But then Netflix ain't done shit with it. And then was Peaky Blinders BBC, and then that got bought by Netflix.
No, it's still BBC, but Netflix bought the rights, but it's over now. Like, yeah, exactly.
But that's BBC's problem is they create good stuff, but then they just sell them off, and they could have been really good, money. I was gonna say money laundering. Oh, my fucking brain's off it tonight. My brain's dying.
Too long.
Yeah, but yeah. So they're cashing in on series before they've actually done anything with them. But I don't know if that's to their betterment or not.
Yeah, I think it's me personally, and it sounds like if we've got a podcast, I like to feel like I like a varied range of stuff. They haven't done a good action drama for a while, and that's what don't get me wrong, they had Killing Eve, and Killing Eve was really good in that respects. But I fancied a good action drama, and this really ticked that box.
Yeah.
But it is what I like about it. The action isn't needless. There's a few twists and turns. They're not like they don't blindside you too much, but when stuff happens, it's handled with a lot of tact.
Yeah.
And it's it's brutal when it needs to be, and it's also quite emotional when it needs to be. The only little I have very few little nitpicky things about it. The main one is like a huge spoiler, so I'll get into that in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's No, it's really good. Before, like, I just recommend it.
Yeah.
Definitely because, like Kieran said, and we don't want to come across like too young and trying to be like, oh, BBC are great or whatever. But they are great. It does remind me how great they are.
Yeah.
But it's very accessible. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on iPlayer for God's sake, and they're all on there now. Like I
Yeah.
said, like they all dropped on the 30th, which is good. And I think like BBC are trying to do this to be more. I know it sounds really stupid and patronising towards like over 100-year company, but they're trying to drop all episodes in one go to be more relevant, like Netflix, like Amazon, who do that and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they realise people want the.
That's how people like to digest stuff now.
Yeah.
For the end of the day, I like a lot of stuff. I'd watched 2 episodes this week and watched the other 4 in like 24 hours, like.
Yeah.
Which is how a lot of people like to watch TV. Like they.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes when you get stuck in, you just want to keep going.
Yeah, like you might be busy in the week or whatever. You got a lot of stuff going on, and then like you say, okay, if you're enjoying it, then you can just watch all of it.
Yeah, and that's not to say that I'm not gonna go back and watch it all. You know, I think I will watch it all again.
Yeah, I'll watch like very mild spoilers, but I'll watch it when season 2 comes out, which hasn't officially got commissioned, but it has done rather well by all accounts, and I think it will be a season 2.
Yeah, I would like to see a season 2, especially with how they ended season 1. I'm interested to see how where it goes for season 2. Because like I said at the beginning of the episode, I really enjoyed this series and I want to see more of it. I just hope they get more of a budget.
Yeah, even more budget.
Because I want to see a bit more action related things. The acting's great, the script's great, the costumes, the makeup, the sets, they're all great. We just need a few more action scenes, and that's where the money will be spent on that sort of, practical effects.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Oh, quick little thing as well. Apparently, I spoke to my dad about it. My great granddad was apparently in the SAS, which is quite interesting because my dad was having a look at his records a few years ago. What piqued his interest is my nan used to talk about like what different training exercises he'd go on. And like, you can only presume, well, when you're in World War II, if you was just a normal infantryman or a normal like soldier, you would just, most of the time, you'd be based just in one area. You wouldn't go too many places. But my great granddad James, he'd go to quite a few different places. And my dad looked out of interest because of that. My dad got his records last year or the year before and found out he served with David Sterling, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a contrast because my granddad, my nan always speaks of that. Like, my great granddad was just used to do loads of betting and he was quite.
He's always down at the horse races.
He was quite I don't know. It was quite a bit of a laugh, but he doesn't. Yeah. I don't know. It's always through a different lens, isn't it? Well, my great granddad sounds like a badass to me because he was 95% sure he was in the SAS. But to my nan, it was just her dad, He used to look at, he was a stiff upper lip dad who used to look after her and love her, but also spend a lot of time on the
That's called shell shock, mate. PTSD.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I was like, next time I see my nan, be like, don't be so hard on great granddad James. Maybe he was just pissed off after all the shit he saw in the war.
Yeah. After all those Nazi scalps he was cutting off.
Yeah, like Quentin said. But full-blown spoilers now then, as per usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's your warning.
Right, you're going to go straight for the jugular?
3, 2, 1, I'm going straight for the jugular. Alfie Allen dying, like I was very much alluded, is something which definitely wasn't welcomed because I liked his character quite a lot, but I feel like it was kind of needed.
Yeah, the beginning of the episode, they put a bit too much emphasis on him, and you're kind of like, why they're showing us loads about his backstory and his girlfriend and stuff, and then it kind of just goes, they're not going to kill him off, are they? Because that just feels like a waste. And the thing is, I don't know all the history. I don't know who Jock Lewis is or was, right? So to know, did he die in the desert, or did Alfie Allen decide I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't know.
We
Right?
say this knowing that these were real people, and we don't obviously I don't want to speak for Kieran too much, but we definitely don't cause we don't want to cause offence talking about these real people who probably died or however they died.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
we're just taking it as a drama, as what it is.
Yeah, we're taking it as the show. We're not trying to indict the actual person themselves. And the thing is, like, we could easily Google this stuff, but I've chosen not to, because if we are going to get a second season, I don't want to read spoilers before I even see the show or before
No,
the
I
show's even
100%
made.
agree with that. Yeah, I don't want to. I've been trying to look at. I don't know how you would work. Like you say, don't want to spoil it too much for yourself in the future. Like, how would you just look at quote unquote season one spoilers? You
Yeah.
wouldn't, would you? That's not how history fucking works.
Yeah, because if I was just to Google David Sterling now, like co-founder of the SAS, it's probably going to say date died 1945, and you're like, oh shit, we're going to find. He's going to die in like second season, if it's the second season's the end of the war or whatever.
But now, what you said with Alfie Allen, I don't know whether I feel like his character he played probably did die at that point.
Yeah, it makes sense. The way it was filmed, like the way his death was shown, was so obvious. So he's basically tripping balls in the desert because he's got shrapnel in his leg, and there's an airplane above them shooting down at them, and he starts envisioning his wife, or well, his wannabe wife, and um, I like the bit where he's got so much self doubt that she's like, "Why would I ever want to be with someone like you? You're basically dead." But then the actual letter that he does receive is like, "Of course I'll marry you." That self doubt is like such like a thing that I've definitely gone through. It's real. But how he was just sort of crawling through the desert, and then he sees a mirage of her, and he starts to stand up, walking to her. You immediately knew that plane's gonna shoot the shit out of him, and he was dead. Like you just knew that's where it was going.
He used that as a kick up the arse, as like encouragement. Him, her saying to him, "Well, you're already dead," and he was like, "Fuck this, I best get a move on then."
Yeah.
I like that quite a lot. I feel like Eve dying was. It's not. It
Oh shit!
wasn't
I
quite.
forgot she dies. Yeah, that
Not
felt a
quite as
bit like.
obvious, but
I mean, now that you've said she wasn't a real character, it feels a waste, because if they're going to create a character for her, then why kill her off? You know what I mean? Because she was quite pivotal, and they killed her off screen. It was just like, oh, by the way, she died in a plane crash. Moving
whether
on.
it's because they wanted to just like save money on budget, and then it was just like, oh, filming an airplane crash is a bit spenny. Well, she could
Well,
have
yeah.
died another way or whatever. But yeah, I know what you mean. I feel like that was done to humanise Sterling more, which I don't think we needed, because I think he was such a charismatic bloke in himself.
Well, yeah, we've already spent a lot of time with him anyway. I still understood like his plight a bit. So I didn't necessarily need to see him cry. Because I've already, as the audience, we've already spent a lot of time with him.
Exactly.
Um,
The other one is I don't know how you read it. I presume it was, and number one, like this is. I think this is a plus if it is, and this is what they're hinting towards. I'm not, quite, quite a liberal guy or whatever, and it's quite a cool idea. I took it as Paddy Main's gay, like, and that wasn't just his best friend. He thought of like his Irish friend as being his bloke. How did you take that?
no, I didn't see it like that at all.
Did you not? I thought
No, I
it,
just thought
especially.
like, if me and you were out there in the desert and you died and broke your legs, I'd be fucking distraught. Like, not because I wanted to bum you.
No, I don't. No, I catch that as well. Like, I'd be gutted if my best friend died, but it was also the remarks after when, like, I think Sterling really makes a big thing of him going to find his body or whatever. But and then also when he says to him, "I heard you're a poet," when he meets the Frenchman, and he says about naked wrestling with the poet.
I think that was just to wind him up. I think that was just dick swinging.
Yeah, the double bluff with the Germans is good.
A double bluff.
So it makes it for the leading up to it. They're like, oh, it's going to be this German who's going to betray him, and then the French bloke's like, nah, he's not going to betray us. He's not going to betray us. And then the truck breaks down in the enemy camp. He's like, the French bloke then he's like, oh shit, he's going to betray us.
Yeah.
And it turns out that guy's not going to betray. He's going to be the other fucking German.
Yeah, and then the guy's just sort of like, I'm not a coward, and then he just shoots the bomb and blows everyone up. I thought that was pretty epic.
I thought that was epic, and apparently, to BBC's credit, done a bit of research myself in the stealing off a little known podcast site called as BBC Sounds. Their historian said that bloke existed, and I love how they cast a cute little Jewish bloke, a Jewish little badass. He couldn't be a burly one. He had to have a pretty homely look about him.
Yeah,
and he apparently in real life he didn't shoot a bomb, but he got caught, and as opposed to shooting the bombs like they did in the drama, he shot live ammunition and took a load of Germans out with himself. So that was a real bloke, it was based on a real person.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I like that as well. I like that. I suppose, I definitely I can't sympathise. I'm not. That's Holocaust is a horrible, horrible time and all that indeed. But I'm not saying suicide is a good thing to do. But in that situation, you could see why he would do that. His loved ones have died, and he's thinking to himself, I don't fancy going to a camp myself. Fuck this. Yeah. And he just blows them all up
Yeah, no, you completely you would have done the same thing if you were in his shoes, to be honest, because you're like,
yeah,
there's no way out of this, and I'm not going to that hellhole. I've got to do what I've got to do. Take as many of those German bastards with me.
I like the only thing I would say is I couldn't tell you, and it's funny. Yeah, I'm a bit of a dipshit. I'll put my hand up at that, but I couldn't tell you how long the first season spread across.
How many years? I'm pretty sure it was just 2 years. Because I remember we had 1941, and then in one episode it said 1942. So I say 2 years. It could have been a year, technically, but it showed 2 dates.
Because the way it could have easily been a summer, or obviously it's not. It's definitely not summer, but it's hard to keep track of that. But it almost feels like from one episode to the other. Feels like episode 2, they're quite struggling. They're smashing the airstrips, and that's quite cool. Don't get me wrong. Then it feels like episode 3 or 4, they've got Churchill's son with them.
I enjoyed that episode actually with Churchill's son.
I enjoyed that episode a lot. Don't get me wrong. I feel like the suspense it gives for that, but also Churchill's son's not going to die, and it's not going to go tits up too much. But it kind of does. I don't know, that whole episode is good, as you say.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the one where they got to blow up the docks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, blow up the port. That was... Yeah, go on.
They could have kept Eve longer, I think.
For sure.
I don't want to ride the old, I'm a straight white bloke, but I can be a feminist boat too much. But now they're going to have to, if you ask me. And I know it's, based on history, and there wasn't too many women in the SAS, or if at all, let's face it. But, there's only one female character in it.
Yeah.
And now for the next season, they're going to have to introduce at least a couple more, where it would have been now that they could have just had another, that kept the Sophia character played by Sophia, and then had to introduce more female characters.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a shame that she's gone, because she was kind of she riled Sterling, but she kind of kept him true to the cause rather than for his own, to impress Daddy sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a good observation in the sense that I feel like she kept him steady, but she didn't patronise him or whatever.
No.
There wasn't played too much. It's a good ensemble cast as well, I feel.
Oh, yeah. The one guy, the sort of jacked fella, yeah, his voice, like every time I hear him speak, I just immediately think of Captain Price, even though Captain Price is Scottish.
Even though Captain Price is Scottish, he's done really well. Cooper, the young blonde chap who ironically looks very German.
You mean the desert guy? Sergeant Mike. Honestly, I don't know all the names yet. You're on about the one that calls himself like he's 17, but he's got 21 kills. Him.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah,
Cooper. But no, they're all the characters are pretty likable. Even some of the French characters they tried to flesh out to a degree. I feel like that's pretty quick. All of a sudden, they're kicking fuck out of each other in the bar in episode 5. And then like episode 6, the best buds playing rugby or whatever. But I suppose in the sense that
of actual time progressing for them, yeah, a lot of time.
Yeah, it probably would have been, a month or 2 months at least, and they would have started getting on.
Yeah.
My biggest nitpick, and I don't know if this is the similar case for you, I know sometimes you agree in this sense, is I definitely want a second season, but the ending is too much of second season bait.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
It's like I already wanted a second season before that last scene of Sterling getting captured, and all of a sudden, like, Maine's now in charge now. Mad Maine, Paddy Maine's in charge.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I wanted a second season before we had that sort of, you know, that scene with Paddy, because, I wanted a second season by I think halfway through the season. But then I was like, only if it makes sense. But then when Sterling gets captured, I was like, oh, I hope we've got a second season because I want to see what happens to him then. But then with Paddy being put in charge, I felt like that's something that could have happened at the beginning of the second season rather than at the end of season 1. Because as you say, it just feels like something they've just tacked on to be like, don't you make sure you tune in for the second season because you want to see crazy mad boy fucking Paddy Maine as the leader of the entourage.
Yeah, exactly. That's the end, literally. Well, I know we pretend to be quite positive anyway on the podcast, but that's literally that's probably my biggest nitpick with it. That, and like you've pointed out yourself, to your credit, is there isn't a load of action. I know it wasn't going to be a martial arts film, but I would have liked to see more, I don't know, hand-to-hand combat or close quarters combat.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the bits of, I don't know if you can call them espionage or not, but how, like, I think it's the second episode where Sterling's on the crutches and he needs to go and see the general. So he puts he tries to get in, they won't let him in. So then he rests the crutches on the side and they think he's jumped in the back of the truck, but he hasn't. He then, he's just hiding and then he sneaks on back around. And those instances where he's like, oh, I've got to carry these bottles of wine. And then he keeps on about people doing up your top button. And he's like, oh, sorry, sir, it's really hot. And he goes, I don't give a shit. You need to do up that top button. It's all about the way we look and whatever. And I like that sort of way that they sneak their way into things because they do that quite a few times. And I like that sort of approach.
Especially when it's like, oh, Cooper can speak Italian really well. We're going to use that. And they just, what they say, overconfidence 9 times out of 10. It's that experiment. How many places can you get in? How many things can you do if you got high vis on or you got a ladder? As long as you're confident with it or whatever.
Like using Churchill's son, they use him because he's the only one that can speak German, but the only German he can speak is Twelfth Night.
Yeah.
Like renditions of the 12th Night.
It's what I thought was like, it would happen there. It's not too over dramatic. As someone from upper privilege would know that type of German. You speak about confidence. I remember when I was 17, I used to use my legit passport to get into clubs because it was a legit passport. They'd just look at whether the ID looked all right or not. They wouldn't look at the date of birth. And because I'd have the balls just to be like, oh yeah, they wouldn't be like, oh, it says you're 17. They'll just be like, oh yeah, just because he would expect to do that. But no,
I mean, trying to think of things that, bits we didn't like. We've mentioned bits we didn't like, but something that's just come across my mind, and it's something I thought of at the time when I was watching it, is why did they have to parachute into the desert to go to their their base, their home base, but then every other week Sterling was traveling back to Cairo? I was like, he's not parachuting back in, is he? He's just driving. What was the point parachuting there to begin with?
I don't know. Yeah, it's because I feel like they build it up so much, especially, I think it's a very good point, because that's how Paddy's best friend dies, the Irish chap.
Yeah.
And that's how Arthur die. And they put a lot of emphasis on this is a suicide mission, we shouldn't do it. Because they're jumping on like a sandstorm, Darude sandstorm. But they're saying, oh, don't do it, it's mad. But like you say, if I remember correctly, I'm 90% sure, it's so they can meet Sergeant Mike to go find the base.
Yeah.
This is like that's when he does the talk after. This is fuck knows. This is the city of nowhere, and this would be the capital of city of nowhere or whatever.
Yes.
So it's not like they're doing a mission. They're doing a trying to take an airfield out.
Yeah, it's not like they're 2 clicks from an airfield or whatever. They're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, there's no real urgency. So that's a fair point.
Yeah. Oh no, have I just ruined the entire series?
We have to a degree, but I think if you had a historian, maybe they're like, oh, it's because of this. Or I suppose you could argue, as time goes on, an area where you would have had to drop via spoilers a plane. Over time, the army would have made more ground, so you wouldn't have to use a plane to get over there.
Yeah, I suppose if you're making more ground, yeah.
Yeah, they would have took more checkpoints, and because the Allies and the Brits would have took more checkpoints, you could have just used the car. But originally, you maybe would have had to use a plane.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. To be fair, I'm gonna stick with that theory just so we don't ruin the show.
But like you say, I suppose it was set over quite a while.
Yeah.
So maybe hopefully that seals that plot hole up. But no, that's a fair observation. He's a bit mad that there's quite a few scenes where he's going back and seeing Dominic West's character and his girlfriend, and he's going there to and fro quite easily. Like, they don't make a big deal of it.
No.
But no, that's. Have you got anything more really to say? I haven't really. I just sing its praises, and it's nice to see. And it's a very British show as well. I like it's.
Yeah.
It's not cluttered. And it sounds casually racist to Americans. It's not cluttered by Americans or whatever.
Yeah, it's not just another American show with a load of American actors and American accents. We've got some pure, proper British, shitty Liverpudlian accents.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very welcome thing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's actually really nice. There's so many different dialects and so many different British accents throughout the the ensemble.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just nice. It's like it just reminds you of home.
Yeah, and they're just UK accents, like.
Yeah, and I'd say just talking about the vibe of the show, it does have that sort of the old war look about it, the old war feel. So watching old Dirty by the Dozen and The Great Escape, how that sort of film vibe had of it. That this sort of like the color correction and the way it's filmed and shot and that it still has that feel. Plus, there are also we haven't mentioned this archived footage dotted in every now and again.
Yeah, and real life photos, like that's quite a nice little touch to it, and it's not overdone as well.
No.
I think it's sprinkled in nicely, sprinkled in like Parmesan cheese on top of your bolognese. It's like just the right amount.
Yeah, too much it smells like sick, but just enough it just adds a bit.
I'd say what I did really like, and I think I'm glad that it's something I'm glad they never done, because it would have been too ham-fisted and too clumsy.
Yeah,
is how they mention it a lot, and usually it's like, oh, show don't tell. But I'm really glad they didn't have a scene where young David Sterling is with his dad, and his dad's like, oh, you're a fuck up, or I'm not talking to you until you're the best. I'm really glad they didn't have overused flashbacks.
the only flashbacks we had were for Alfie Allen, weren't they?
That's what I mean. I'm really glad they never done that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So I think we mentioned before, flashbacks can be overused sometimes, or sometimes it's part of the story, such as we mentioned before with Arrow, on what is Arrow on?
Well, like technically it's on the CW in America.
Yeah, that's it, CW, but yeah, Sky or I got it on Prime, but yeah, so Arrow, it's the whole show is basically it's 50-50 of flashbacks um and present time. But it's not flashbacks of things you've already seen. They're flashbacks of things we haven't seen. It's a flashback for the character, but not for us. But yeah, like some shows, like that's their style. But sometimes when they rely on them too much to create a backstory, as you say, show not tell, and whatever, it was refreshing that we didn't have that this time around.
I really enjoyed that. Just before we finish as well, something I found, like I said, it was only Alfie Allen having his flashbacks was good, and I think they was quite elegant. It was quite fun. Like it made you like Alfie Allen more, and you realised he's got something to fight for. He's got his future. Like I know everybody had future, and like I said, and this is like these are real people's lives, but. I don't want to take the piss too much because it's not even happened, but what took me out of it a bit, and I even spoke to my partner about it, was Alfie Allen's coming across. He's got his lovely, like, late 1930s, early 40s fashion, nice mad suit on, and his missus wearing a nice dress. They're walking in English countryside.
I think I know where you're going.
And it's like, no, the shagging scene's quite good, that's quite into it. It's quite funny and fancy. But also, the thing which makes me crease the most about it, he's walking over to her, and she's like on her own holding a flower, and she's quite peaceful. She's looking into the distance. And you're like, oh, like, what's going to happen here? And she says, oh, I've just spoke to my dearly departed grandmother. I think we should do it.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, I think we should do it. We should get married. We should buy this house. She's asked her dead nan.
Stick it right up me.
Yeah, she's asked her dead nan, shall we go shag in the car? I've got a dead nan, and I don't think to my nan, oh, shall I go shag my Charlotte, my girlfriend, tonight? That's not what I'd speak to my dead nan about. I don't know. If you want to speak to your dead, I'm not saying anybody or any fault. If you want to speak to your dead people, your dead loved ones, you can speak to them wherever you want. They're your dead loved ones. But it just really took me out of it. In a good way, like, because it made me crease. But, like, like, is that really what she asked her nan? But no, I thought that was a really weird observation. I'll be honest. I've asked my dearly departed nan, we should do it in the car like all the young Americans do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we weren't around at the time. That might have been like word for word exactly how they used to say it, but.
But I'm 90% sure that's how it is. I might caught the wrong end of the stick.
No, I'm pretty. That's exactly how I picked up on it as well.
But no. But that's our thoughts on SAS Rogue Heroes.
Yeah, I say it's free to watch, so you've got no excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you haven't got a TV license, which 99% of people do, give it a watch. Like, moment of the week of thing I like when I was like, oh, I'd recommend this to watch, and not so much a whole episode on it because I watched it last night. I hadn't spoke to Kieran about it. Was on Disney. Disney are doing this thing now, especially with Fox, and they done it last year with The Last Duel, and they've done it at the beginning of this year. These are just two examples I can think of straight away. With The Kingsman, where they'll have quite good films. And I know The Last Duel's a bit weird because it's very provocative and a bit controversial. But they'll have quite good films where they're in the cinema and, like, literally less than 2 months later, they're on Disney+.
Yeah.
And that was the same with See How They Run. So I was half tempted to go see that in the cinema because that looks really good, looks quite fun. It's got Sam Rockwell in the lead and Saoirse Ronan.
Sure, yeah.
They, like, the duo who try and work out a whodunit based on the Agatha Christie. It's very meta and quite funny.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll go see this. And then I didn't get round to it or whatever, things happened, and all of a sudden it wasn't in the cinema no more. Then a couple of weeks earlier, literally like 2-3 weeks ago, it was on Disney Plus already. So I watched it last night, and I can't recommend it enough. It's a very
quirky theatrical whodunit. That's like
Have
the
you
best
watched
way
it
to.
now then? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched. I actually watched it before you watched it. I watched it
That's mad, that is. I
a
didn't
month
know you
ago.
watched it. But that's what I mean. You watched it a month ago. So I swear to God, it came out in the cinema probably at the very most September.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. I like Keith says, it's very quirky. It's quite fun. It's it's not mega serious, but it's quite. I don't know. It's a very easy watch, but it makes you think quite a bit. And it takes the piss out of a lot of whodunits as well.
Yeah.
And this is a testament to what type of director it is. It's the same director who directed This Country, the mockumentary comedy show This Country on BBC. But it's definitely worth watching. It's quite fun. It's quite weird. Sam Rockwell's great in it. So Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah. Sam Rockwell's British accent's pretty solid as well.
Do you know what? That was one of my favourite observations of it. He didn't really. He smashed it, didn't he?
Yeah. The thing is, Sam Rockwell, I think, is an underrated actor. I don't think he gets enough credit.
I couldn't. Hashtag best friends, but I couldn't agree more. It's probably my favourite movie star who should be a bigger movie star.
Yeah.
There's not a film I've watched with Sam Rockwell in, where I think he might be in bad films, but he's not done a bad performance.
Yeah, so the only bad film I can think he was in was Iron Man 3.
Yeah, but he's not in 3, he's in 2. But
Oh, is it 2? Yeah.
But again, he's absolutely great in that role. As Justin Hammer, he smashes his that corny, cocky guy, he smashes that.
Yeah.
But again, he's not the worst thing in All Men 2. But yeah, exactly, that's the first one I think of. He's absolutely great in The Green Mile as well.
3 Billboards.
He's great in 3 Billboards. He's great in Green Mile. He's great in The Way Back. That's good. He's good in 7 Psychopaths.
Yeah.
But yeah. But no, I don't want to talk about particulars too much, because See How They Run is a very much.
Yeah, so who done it? We can't say anything without spoiling. But if you know your Agatha Christie's, you'll probably enjoy it more than most people, because there's a lot of callbacks to here, there, and everywhere, and there's things you're like, oh my god, that references that, and that references that, and it's very. I don't know how they managed to get the rights to do that sort of stuff, because it's not officially Agatha Christie, but there's an Agatha Christie play, and someone's been murdered who is an actor in the Agatha Christie play, but they've been murdered in a way that's similar to the script that they're doing, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Have you got anything in particular you'd recommend?
So recommend or not recommend? Enola Holmes 2. I watched that a week or so ago, and again, that's a bit of a whodunit. But I definitely think I preferred it to the first one. I thought the first one was good, but I think the second one's better. It hits the ground running a bit more, and it's a bit more focused. My only issue is it was really predictable. There's a character that's basically there's a character that's meant to have gone missing, and you're meant to try and figure out where's this character gone, and then the character's got ginger hair, and then there's literally only one other ginger person in the whole film, so you're like, oh, it must be her, and it was, and you're like, oh, okay. Right, but the thing is, she's wearing a wig, right? But the wig, so her actual hair is really ginger, but the wig is more of a strawberry blonde. And it's like, surely you've just gone with brunette or something, just to edge your bets. Don't just yeah. So yeah, I don't understand, but I really enjoyed the film regardless. I thought it was fun. It was cheeky. It feels very family friendly. There's some bits that happened where it's a bit like, oh, that can't be too gruesome, because that's this needs to be enjoyable for kids, or it's a bit tongue in cheek or something. But the one thing I did get after watching it is I actually want to see a Henry Cavill Sherlock Holmes spin-off, which isn't the aim of Enola Holmes. Enola Holmes should be able to stand on her own 2 feet, and she does. But with Sherlock finding out who, there's this character Moriarty onto him, and the way he plays his character and is quite dark and gritty. I was like, oh, I would love to see a dark and gritty Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. I mean, has Sherlock Holmes been oversaturated? Yes, no, maybe so. But I still would like to see a Henry Cavill version, like in his own TV show or as a film. I'm actually I really want to see that.
Yeah. I need to watch it myself. It's glad you recommended it because I quite like the first one. The first one was quite funny. It was quite.
Yeah, like it's absolutely worth a watch. It's got the same vibe and the same feel as See How They Run.
Oh, good. I'll have to give it a watch then.
Yeah. But no, that's all I've got for you today.
Yeah. That's our episode. Thank you as always for listening. It was greatly appreciated, whatever platform you're listening on.
Yeah, and yeah, just try and get yourself on the iPlayer and watch SAS Rogue Heroes. And if you've got Disney Plus, you can watch See How They Run. And if you've got Netflix, you can watch Enola Holmes too. Oh, we've hit all 3 platforms, Mikey.
If you got, yeah, that's what we're covering, like 3 of their main platforms. But no, we will definitely be doing a God of War episode. Say that for free because Kieran's finished it, but he doesn't want to, like, as a good friend, and I'll just, he hasn't spoiled it for me, but I'm loving every story beat to the point where I'm doing side missions because I don't want to finish it too much, even though I should because I've got a podcast, but it's great.
Yeah. I've put a pin in it, but I'm calling it my Witcher 3 is my favourite game ever, but he's God of War Ragnarok now my favourite game ever. Who knows? Stay tuned.
Find out on the whole episode. But thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.